Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into the North Main Minute. I'm Joshua Dobie. Alright, I'm going to bring up a big item here. It's been all over the news here, especially in the last several weeks post-election. And I know sometimes it's considered the third rail of financial planning. I'm going to touch into it and we'll talk a few bullet points on it. Yes, I'm talking about cryptocurrency. Now, I know there are a whole bunch of varietals out there. I'm talking about Bitcoin, and primarily because Bitcoin has some securitized assets in the form of exchange-traded funds, which allows me to be able to speak to them now. Before there were securitized assets, I couldn't do that because of the licenses that I hold. But let me talk about Bitcoin a little bit. It's skyrocketed since the end of the election, getting a lot of questions about it. It's very interesting. There's actually a direct correlation in our experience between the number of questions and the increase in the price of crypto, and a decrease in questions and a decrease in the price of crypto as well. Very, very interesting phenomenon. Not surprising, but kind of interesting. So as the price has gone up, a lot more questions. Is this something I should do? Should we get into this? Should we make that? I'm going to give you a terrible answer to start. It depends. It's just like any other investment in that it's not applicable to everybody. First big point, do your due diligence. Understand what it is. It's a relatively new asset class, especially if you're comparing it to the more traditional assets of stock equities, of bonds, of commodities, of currencies, which have been around a lot longer in all of those instances than cryptocurrencies have. Make sure you do your due diligence. This conversation is not about convincing you either to or to not take a look at it, but rather just encouraging you, make sure you're aware, as with anything, about what it is that you're doing, and then second big point, why you're doing it. Does it fit into your plan? Is it something that overall is something that you want to add to your mix, either in a short-term or long-term kind of way? It's not a good idea. You hear me say this a lot about all investments, but it's not a good idea just to take a look at it, either A, because your buddy is doing it, or B, because the price has gone up so much. We think in straight lines sometimes. We do. We think in straight lines all the time when it comes to markets. And right now, because the price of Bitcoin specifically has escalated so much, a lot of folks are just making the assumption about where it's going to go higher from there. Folks, all of these things when it comes to investments, and just take a look at Bitcoin's history, are cyclical. There are times when it's hot, there are times when it's not. Make sure you understand that in advance before you make investments there, and make sure that you're okay with the cyclicality of it, meaning that it's going to go up sometimes, it's going to go down at other times. Third big item to keep in mind when it comes to Bitcoin. You're looking at the kinds of things, or cryptocurrency overall, but I'm looking at Bitcoin specifically. You're looking at the kinds of things that right now are relatively new to the market space. That's important to keep in mind. Doesn't make it right or wrong or good or bad. It's just relatively new. So you're going to want to take a look at what are the nuances of it. Is it more like a stock? Is it more like a bond? Is it more like currency? Is it more like commodities or something like gold? A lot of discussion in all directions there. I'm not here to make an argument in any particular direction there, but just to get an idea of more, or maybe it's something new altogether in your opinion, and that may be the case. But understand what it is, and then most importantly, what the store of value or the value proposition is, meaning why do you own it? What exactly are you buying? You want to make sure that you identify that in all investments, but specifically here, talking about cryptocurrency and looking specifically at Bitcoin for that kind of thing. Understand what you're buying. And very, very important, that's back on the due diligence end of things, but identifying that and then how it fits into your plan, very good, very prudent when you're looking at how it fits in to your financial goals. If you'd like to reach out to us at North Main Financial Group, our look at it is pretty narrow. Like I said, there are a couple of exchange-traded funds which have just come online here that utilize Bitcoin futures inside of them. So it's not a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold either of those kinds of things, but rather looking at it in terms of relatively new asset class, definitely a hot topic of conversation. You want to talk about what it means? How does it fit in with your overall plan? Are there ways in which you should think about it? We'd love to hear from you. NorthMainFinancial.com.